So my next speaker will be Dr. Hemin Latif. He will be speaking about AI in creative industries. Welcome, Dr. Hemin.
بفرمو بۆ ماڵەکەم یان بفرمو من بەسەر بێم بەهانە وەسڵی تۆیە چ تۆ بیت و چ من بێم. Thank you. Go ahead, please, come to my house, or go ahead and command, I come to yours. The desire is being with you, whether you come to mine or I come to yours. AI or not, ladies and gentlemen, a talk about art must start with great art. And that's why we have this starting point. Unfortunately, I'm not an artist. I tried my luck with art multiple times, and every time it failed miserably. I tried with drawing, didn't work. I tried calligraphy, some shaky progress there, didn't continue. My worst experience was with music. I bought a guitar at 4 o'clock in the morning on eBay. I kept it in the house for 5 years. I didn't learn a single chord, and I sold it back on eBay after 5 years. But that's a good thing for today, because if I was an artist, this talk probably would have been more emotional, more philosophical, and even more technical. But now, it is for someone like me, who's not an artist, but a damn good art enthusiast. I admire art, I love everything in the creative industry, and that's what brings me the technical background in AI in link with art. To get started and to bring everyone to a common ground, because art is a very complicated, massive field. It's very hard to tell what's art and what's not, what's creative and what's not. I would like to start with creating a common ground. Every piece of art could be perceived as containing 3 components. There is the intention. This is the intention of the artist. Is it a message? Is it an exploration? Is it an experiment? Then there is the value. The value is for the recipients, for the people, for the nation, for the society, for the community that perceives the art. And then there is the tools, the mediums that the artists use to convey that message, to create that value. This definition, or let's call it common ground, is universal to all forms of art. It applies to music, it applies to poetry, it applies to sculpturing, acting, as well as visual arts. Although this is a very universal common ground, most of the examples that I will be sharing today will be from the visual arts field, because simply visual is easier to communicate. So tools, ladies and gentlemen, in the creation of art, in the creative industry, play a very significant role. Artists have always tried to master tools and show mastery of tools. Artists have tried tools in creative ways and in never-seen-before ways. Artists have picked challenging tools just to show how challenging they are. Tools are a very important component of art. And digitization and computers play a significant role in enhancing these tools. These tools change. And that's why 10 years ago, one of the courses I developed at the American University in Iraq, Soleimani, was creative coding and computing, basically introducing the students to coding as a medium of self-expression, as a medium of art. And that was one of the talks of the first TEDx Nishtiman presentation on this exact same stage. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, is that now we have a surge of tools created by different generative AI models and technologies. And why that's a problem? These tools, ladies and gentlemen, are much more accessible and allow for much faster results. These tools are now available to customize for mass production. What took an artist hours or weeks or sometimes months to produce. Now it's produced within minutes, if not seconds. These tools, ladies and gentlemen, cost just a coloring palette just years ago. And these tools, ladies and gentlemen, are also transforming new forms of art and creating new forms of art. Your avatar, turning your entire vacation video into a cartoonish video. Your self-expression is now all changed through these tools. These tools are available, are cheap, are fast, are powerful. And that's what's causing us to be concerned about art. Where does art go? Where we will be in 1 year's time if these tools continue in the same way that they continue. And there is a common saying now in the world of AI that we usually say, this is as worse as it can get. That this is the beginning. We are still continuing, and this will still continue. But with art, ladies and gentlemen, this is not new. This kind of, if we are allowed to call it crisis, is not new. The same happened in the 1830s when analog photography came into the scene. Or the artists believe that it's the end of art because now with a single camera, you need no skills, you need no time, you can produce multiple copies with a fraction of the time. The same experience and crisis happened again when digital photography entered the scene. Now, you don't need to wait to process the film. You can just take pictures. You don't need to be a good photographer. You can take bad ones and good ones and still keep the ones that you like. The same crisis happened with 3D printing. It happened with electronic and electrical musical instruments. It happened when Yamaha played 20, 30, 100 different instruments in one single device. And everyone believed that it would be the end of art. But art and the creative industry survived and got stronger. At this point, it's very good to remind ourselves of a quote that says, with every abundance comes new scarcity. Scarcity for what? As we said, art is not just about tools. It's about intentions. It's about relevance. This is an example of a form of art called sand art. Whether beautiful or not, whether complicated or not, to most people this has no meaning. But to one small tribe, this has very significant spiritual and cultural meaning. Therefore, art has social relevance and cultural relevance. Scarcity for the original intention of the artist. What is the intent behind the art? This is another generative AI-created piece of art. It won the top place in a photography contest. But the artist declined the award because the artist's intention was not to win an award and was not to be recognized, was just to show you what digital tools can create. And the human art director. Despite all the power these tools bring so far, the human is still the art director. This is created by a prompt from a human. Yes, the tool is there, but I doubt these generative tools would be thinking of a smiley face on a yellow toilet. Who would need that and who would think of that? That comes from the human art director. So, yes, these are powerful tools, and these are accessible tools. And these are tools that open the door to many of us to enter the field of creativity and art when in the past we felt, like me, for example, mastering a single tool, whether music, whether writing, whether drawing, but now it is much more accessible. But someone like me will still not be an artist, because an artist is not just about the tools. The human creativity still leads the art movement and the art. I'd like to also share two examples on the two extremes of a spectrum. One is that I'm fascinated by that we've never seen. It's a new form of art that we see. And that is seeing these sculptures that have been around for hundreds of years come to life and dance or talk. We've always seen them as very solid, static, heavy components. Someone thought of why not making these sculptures dance? And that someone still was a human being, although the tools allowed for that. On the other end of the spectrum, in terms of mastery of tools, this is an artist that uses syringe to create paintings. I had to bring something related to the medical sector, Dr. Diari, just for Dr. Diari and the colleagues. So using a syringe to create paintings and create art. And I think this is a good crisis. We started with a good thing, and we end with a good thing. Is that now this is a new era, and we need new artists. We need new artists to be born. We need new art to be created. But we, as recipients, as audience, we also need to raise our expectations, our filters for what constitutes as art and what doesn't constitute as art. I am Dr. Hemin Latif, ladies and gentlemen. It was an honor sharing my thoughts with you. Have a wonderful day.
Shukran jazilan, Doctor. It was absolutely amazing. Also, as a failed artist, that's why I became a lawyer. I can feel you. But it was amazing seeing what is possible and how far AI can take us also in our creativity, not only in being more productive, but also expanding our creativity to new fields. So I have the pleasure now to announce our last speaker, not last but not least, which I had also the pleasure yesterday to talk to and learned very, very, very much from him about the history of this region and the castle in Erbil. So Mr. Soran Hamarash is coming on stage to talk about historical perspectives on AI.
My name is Soran Hamarash. I'm a historian and linguist. My subject is a bit different. I'm taking you back to the beginning of civilization. The content, I'm going to talk about the cradle of mankind and agricultural revolution, because these are the start of human civilization. And then implication of this great revolution, because at the moment we are witnessing another revolution. But another one happened 12,000 years ago. Clay tokens and their development in writing, how the first writing developed from clay tokens. And then Sumerian and its connection with modern language. Currently, they say Sumerian is not connected to any language. Now we look together if it is connected. And what went wrong with history? I believe the current history is political. Again, we look at that together. And I concluded, because I have 15 minutes, so I have to squeeze everything in 15 minutes. So this is the Fertile Crescent, and they call it cradle of mankind. By the way, for those people who are not from here, that's Erbil. Okay? So we are sitting here on the cradle of mankind. Most of the civilization started here. So a revolution started around 12,000 years ago. Why? People of this era were not special. They were human beings like anyone else on planet Earth. But what allowed here is the climate change was allowing domestication of cereals. So people in this area, they started to settle because they had to settle with their agriculture. Now, this domestication, this is, for example, domestication of incorn wheat. Look at this. Is it working? Yeah. So, can you see the map here? That's the map of Kurdistan. This is the map of incorn wheat, but it's a map of Kurdistan. Please remember that box. Please remember it, because later on we talk about that domestication. So, domestication of cereal happened on this land. So, that's the place. So with this domestication, humanity, they had villages. So they started domesticating pigs, although we don't eat it here in this country, but it was domesticated here, sheep, cattle, and goats. And any other thing started on this land. So what's the difference between how agricultural revolution changed our life? Prior to agricultural revolution, human was hunter-gatherer. They had to gather and hunt. So they had to move from a place to place to chase food. But once they did the revolution, they had food surplus. Food surplus is the fuel of civilization. Why? Because you didn't need to worry about tomorrow. We had food in our storage. So with this food surplus, we started to have profession. The man in the village, the farmer, needed musician to listen to music, and other professions such as pottery maker, a religious man, so on. So this is the start of the civilization, food surplus. And because we had villages, people started interacting with each other in these villages, so social life was changing quite quickly with this revolution. So there was a lot of technological advancement. Many tools you are using wherever you are on planet Earth, you can trace back the origin of your tool to this area because it happened with the agricultural revolution. But for the purpose of today, I'm focusing on clay token. This is clay token. This is very important because we can connect it to AI. Listen to this. Humanity started to have wheat, barley, sheep, cattle, wool, milk. So there were increase of production and variation of the production. So they created these tools. They are called clay tokens. So these tools represented, for example, a sheep or a unit of measurement or a number. So this is the first start of storage of data and communicating data. So this is the start of data processing. So you can connect. So in a way, AI started from this simple tool. So this AI, as you can look at the map, they started from this area around 10,000 years ago. So they started exactly after the agricultural revolution. Now, someone after 5,000 from inventing clay token, they said, why should I make clay token? Let's just do it. So it took 5,000. Physically, they started doing it. So this is the beginning of another revolution of writing. The first writing happens. So for example, the top one is sheep. So it took 5,000 for the sheep to be that. And we call this language Sumerian. So now humanity know how Sumerian spoke 5,000 years ago. So everyone in the world says Sumerian is unconnected. Now I am saying no, Sumerian is connected. Let's look at Sumerian together. This is clay token. It was made 10,000 years ago on this land, okay? And this is how they started drawing it on clay, on tablet. You can see the shape. It represents the cattle and ox. So Sumerian read this as gu, okay? So we know how Sumerian 5,000 years ago, they called this gu. Now look at Sumerian. This is 5,000 years ago. This is Median language, gu. This is Kurdish, ga and gao. Exact meaning, ox, after 5,000 years ago. English, cow. German, ku. See, the further you go away from this area, the word changes. Became cow and ku. The meaning slightly changed as well. But etymologically, these words are connected. You might say this is only a word. Is there anyone who speaks Italian here? No, unfortunately. Let me show you the sentence. This is a Sumerian simple sentence. Greeting lady, enough cry. Slimnin ibasigriya. This is Kurdish. This is Italian. And this is English. The only word which is not part of the connection is enough. Otherwise, look, Italian, Kurdish, and Sumerian. Even if you are not linguist, you can see the connection. And you may say this is just another coincidence. But look at the sentence. Anyone speak French? Italian? Oh, good. So, for example, Lunudu in Sumerian means he doesn't speak, or the man doesn't speak. Look, this is Kurdish. Launadwe. He doesn't say Italian, French, Spanish. So you can see the connection. This is identical. The meaning, it's about 90%, but it's almost the same. So this is history of humanity. Without understanding the Sumerian and the Kurd, you can never understand the beginning of civilization. So Sumerian words. Not only the word that's spread around the world. Can you see that symbol, the star and the moon, the crescent? This is currently is Muslim, is Islam symbol. You can see it on the mosque. But 2,000 years ago, it was on Roman coin. Now it's on the mosque. And this is Germany. It's one of the cities, it's a symbol of the city, and this is the UK. This is about 900 years old. They still use that symbol. So Sumerian ideas spread around the world is in terms of belief and is not just the language. For example, whether you are a Jew or a Muslim or Christian, you all believe in this story. Noah. So the story of Noah, actually, it was the story of early agriculturalists. Sumerians started putting that story, and humanity now, half of the population on earth, believe in this story because it was the story of the early agriculturalists. And Sumerian recorded it, now it's part of our religion. What went wrong with history? So why we don't know this? So this man, in the language of Iraq, they call it Bar'otha. In Greek, he's Beresus. Beresus was a priest, astronomer, and historian. He was from Babylon, so he knew the history of Babylon. He wrote a book 2,400 years ago in Greek language. Please listen to this, Greek language. But he was indigenous of Babylon. He said, the starting foundation kingdom, the kingship started by 86 kings. The earliest were Medes. 84 were Medes. 2 were Chaldean, his ethnicity. This view contradicts the entire history for Middle East. But this man is indigenous. He wasn't mad. And look, this man, again, another indigenous. He was a Christian from the country we call Turkey now. He didn't use the word Kurd. He referred to the Kurd as Mede. It's in his entire book, he was referring to the Kurd as Mede. So here, the Sumerian, this man, because he wrote the book to the Greek reader, he called the Sumerian the Mede. And later on, the Mede are called the Kurds. So historians refer to this fact I'm talking about. Again, this man, he came to, you remember the box, I showed it to you, the box? That was the place of the domestication of wheat. This man came to Kurdistan 2,000 years ago. He talks about the Kurd. Gordi, son of Triptolemy, is related to have colonized Gordi. So Greek people, they call Kurd Gordi. The father of the Kurd in Greek mythology is the person or a demigod who brought civilization and agriculture. So this historical fact was in the mythology of the Greek. And this place, the place I identify, this is the place where archaeologists found the earliest form of plantation of wheat. So history, archaeology, and myth all completing each other. How much time do I have? Okay, so this organization, in 2003, they said the origin of Indo-European languages started from north of Fertile Crescent, which is Kurdistan. But they don't call it Kurdistan. They don't talk about Kurdistan. And I said that in my book, Rediscovering the Beginning of Western Civilization and the Origin of, that's the title of my book, which was published before them. And my previous book, 10 years ago. So we reach the same view, but what's preventing the world from this understanding, we are biased, we are prejudiced, and we lack critical thinking. So we are at the turning point. I think 12,000 years ago, humanity started a revolution we currently call agricultural revolution. And that revolution set the foundation of civilization. Now we are at the turning point. We are starting another revolution, but we should not forget we are biased. We should not forget that we are political, we are prejudiced. And the problem is, we who program these AIs, 2 minutes, okay, that should be enough. So we program these AIs, I think we transfer our biases, our lack of rationality to AI. So the people who lose are the people like the Kurds. They were the beginner of the civilization, and humanity loses, because if you don't understand the Kurd, you cannot understand the beginning of civilization of humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you very much for all my speakers. I want to thank you from all of my heart. We enjoyed very much the session with you here. And thank you to my audience for attending. And I know you might have a lot of questions to the speakers, but you will have the chance to ask them everything you want later in the masterclass, because the masterclasses will be very interactive. You can interact with them, ask them, and work with them together, and you will learn amazing new tools. This I can promise you.